You mentioned it in the book, fantastic book, in defense of the Second Amendment. Um, but you basically implied several times that, hey, the media, they're disappointed if not enough people get killed. Do you really believe that, or do you feel like there's like even a slight amount of hyperbole in that sentence, or do you
No,
generally
I,
believe that,
I,
hey, they want
I
it more?
genuinely believe that. I
Yeah,
really do. I think these that we're dealing with, when we're talking about the media, I think we're talking about a group that is so insular and so full of themselves and what they believe that they see tragic things in the news every day, right? That's just, I mean, their job is to report this stuff. And I think a lot of them, and I'm not saying all reporters. There's a lot of decent. I've met a lot of reporters that are actually decent human beings, and I've met others that are honestly the worst people I've ever known, and most profoundly disingenuous and dishonest, pathological liars, narcissistic, manipulative people I've ever had the displeasure of dealing with. And so what we have is, if there's an event, you can almost see them being gleeful about it. Yeah, they'll put on their fake tears and they'll get all solemn, and they're actors, they'll act for the camera, but you see them be disappointed. Like we talked about some of these other shootings where the identity of the shooter turned out to not be the kind of person they could capitalize on. They're disappointed, and it drops off the news. When it's something that it's like a horrible thing and it's something they can make political hay out of, they're downright gleeful. You could see it. I mean, they're. I've been watching this for 30 years, and they're enthusiastic because I think part of them. I mean, yeah, some of them are just nihilistic jerks, but others, they are kind of like do-gooders, and they think they know what's best, and so if they can lie, cheat, and steal and manipulate to make the world a better place, which in their eyes is disarming all of us, then they're going to do it. And so there'll be cases where a mass casualty event will happen, and they'll be just like, oh boy, this is so exciting. We're gonna like, and this just shows how guns are bad and shows how Americans are bad and how you need to be controlled. And then something will come out that changes the narrative, and it's just like, oh no, yeah, well, oh well, we're wrong. And yeah, so no, I have nothing but disdain and loathing for people like that. And so I don't just imply that they're vultures. I mean, I flat out say it. They're vultures. They want carnage, and they reward it. But, like we said earlier, they flat out reward the killer. They give the killer exactly what they want, and the killer will say, "Hey, I want to be famous." They'll make the killer famous, and they even provide lessons for the killers. Like, they'll be disappointed. Like, say they want to ban AR-15s because that's a real common gun. That's the one they're all hung up on. When I was younger, it was AK-47s or Uzis, right? They just whatever was popular at the time, they're going to want to ban it. And if the killer, they'll be like, oh, he probably used an AR-15. They're so deadly. Get them off the street. And then it'll come out, it's like, oh, he used a pump shotgun, or he used something else. He used a pistol, and then the news will be disappointed. They'll be, oh well, just think how much more worse this would have been if there had been an AR-15. And then the next killer's like, oh, okay, I'm going to make a note of that. I mean, clearly this is what I need if I want to get maximum media coverage. So yeah, I don't just imply it. I'll flat out say it. Yeah, they're awful.
yeah. No, with all that said, it makes perfect sense why you feel so strongly and why you didn't necessarily mince words when addressing the vultures per se. Um, I do think that the old saying "if it bleeds, it leads" applies heavily to
Yeah.
this thing, and it's horrifying because it's like, man, I really hate the idea that what America loves to hear about. And when we say loves, we can become engrossed by the train wreck of violence in America, uh, is enhanced more specifically by the reporting of it. Like, we have a choice. We can say like, hey, listen, I know this is good for ratings. People see it and they'll get emotionally excited or horrified, and you'll have Granny sitting by the TV, kind of sipping her tea, shaking, just not quite
Yeah.
sure what to do. We got to do something, and now we're watching more commercials. Now the more commercials means more income. The ratings are going up. We're superstars. We're getting Emmys. But I think the soul of America and the children within it are more valuable than an Emmy and some dollar bills, in my opinion.